Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Giddy Knits Podcast. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about knitting, sometimes crochet, hand dyeing and all the crafty things that I've been up to. As usual, I'm Helen and I am coming to you from Surrey in the United Kingdom, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 4, and Jasper, who is 17 months. And today is Friday the 13th of April. Unlucky for some. I'm not normally superstitious, but when I wrote the date down to sit and as I sat down to record the podcast, I suddenly thought to myself, oh dear, Friday the 13th, this isn't going to go well. But we will see. As you can already hear, I seem to have a bit of a frog in my throat today. So apologies about that. And it is still Easter holidays here. So Arthur is not at preschool. If you can hear background noise, it's probably him. I have got him set up in the lounge with the TV on. He's just got a new Snakes and Ladders game, kind of like a complicated version of the board game I remember as a kid, but it's got actual slides and stuff on it that you put the pieces on. And he's determined that he's going to sit there and play that by himself. So we'll see how long that lasts, but I have left him also with the iPad, so if he gets bored, he's got that. So we'll see. But hopefully he'll be entertained. Jasper is having a nap at the moment, so he should be okay. He's usually a pretty good napper, touch wood. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So what have I got to say? Hello. Hello to all my existing viewers. Thank you so much for coming back week after week. I'm glad you're enjoying what I'm putting out there. And also hello to any new subscribers. Thank you so much for coming and checking me out. I hope you enjoy the episode. And yeah, if you like what you see today, then please hit the thumbs up down below. And if you haven't done so already and you'd like to, hit subscribe as well. It just keeps you up to date with some of the videos that I put out there. Sorry, I'm going to have to clear my throat throughout this episode. I'm not quite sure why I've got a frog in my throat. Okay, so what have I got for you this week? Although actually, really, I should tell you where you can find me first. That's what I normally do, isn't it? So as I said, I'm Helen, and I'm actually the dyer behind Giddy Yarns. And you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Instagram as Giddy Yarns, and also on my website, which is www.giddyyarns.com, and all of that should hopefully be on the screen. I sell through Etsy, but there are links to my Etsy shop on my website, so it's just an easy place to send you. And you can also find me as well on Instagram and on Ravelry as Giddy Helen. And my Giddy Helen Instagram just tends to be a bit more personal. I share more of my general knitting and stuff about the boys and family life and things on there. Okay, so that's where you can find me. So now we can delve into what I've got for you this week. Okay, so this week I'm going to start off with some announcements, and I have got prize winners to announce as well. I've then got a finished object to show you. I've got some works in progress. I've got a new cast on this week. I've got a bit of yarny goodness, and then I'll just touch on a little bit of shop news at the end of the episode as well. So let's delve straight into announcements. So we had been running the new Along KAL, and that came to an end at the end of March. I was about to say the end of April then, but we're still in the middle of April. That came to an end at the end of March. So I've got prize winners and I will delve straight into those rather than leaving them till the end of the episode. But hopefully people won't just come and check out whether they've won a prize and then go. But if you do, then that's fine. Okay, so we have got 6 prizes to announce. And I'll start with the 3 physical prizes, and then there are also 3 pattern prizes. So I've got 6 winners to announce. So excuse the crunkling, I'm just going to put those down there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll show you the prize and I'll let you know who's won it. And then I want to share a little picture, if I hope people don't mind, but I want to share a little picture of what that person knit. So basically the theme of the KAL, if you haven't been following, was to use any technique or skill or something that was new to you. Yeah, simple as that, in a project. Okay, so the first prize that I've got, sorry, this is already feeling a little bit disjointed. I'm not used to I'm not used to announcing prize winners. That must be the problem. But okay, so the first prize is a skein of Giddy yarns in the Roadkill Pepper colourway. And the winner of this was number 45. I compiled the entries from Instagram and the entries from Ravelry into one spreadsheet, and then I used random number generator to pick the numbers. So actually, when I'm saying the numbers, they're a bit irrelevant, so I won't say that. Anyway, prize number 1 goes to Fibre Chronicles. And I'll put all the names on the screen here. I'm aware that some of you have got different names on Instagram and to Ravelry. And I've not made a note of where you won your prize from, whether it was an Instagram post or a Ravelry post, but I'm sure you know who you are. So Fibre Chronicles has won this skein of Giddy yarns, and she knit a newborn sleep sack, and it was her first time designing a pattern using raglan increases, I believe. So yeah, that was absolutely lovely. So congratulations. I also failed to look up everybody's names, so apologies for that. But again, you know who you are, hopefully, from your Instagram or Ravelry handle. So prize number 2 is this skein of Giddy yarns again, and this is one of my sock sets. And the colourway for this is Arty, inspired by Arthur's love of the colour purple. And the winner of this one is Vera and Bess, who is Vicky, Vicky Gorey, who actually has donated the 3 pattern prizes. So that's really nice that she won a physical prize. And Vicky knit socks for the first time. So actually winning a sock set is quite good. You can keep practicing. Okay, and the third prize is this lovely project bag from Jilly at Mrs. S Creations. And the winner for this one is Creative Dreams. And again, she knits socks, and it was her first time using 9-inch circulars. So congratulations to you. And then the 3 pattern prizes, which obviously I don't have anything physical to show you, but the 3 pattern prizes. So the first prize goes to hers. This is where it gets fun. Asteroid. I won't say Asteroid, but it's got an E on the end. I'll put it on the screen anyway. And she knit a cowl, which used various stitches that were new to her. So congratulations to you. And then the second pattern prize goes to Imacole, and she knit scrappy socks for the first time. And the third pattern prize goes to VT Kimmy Kim, who I assume is called Kim. And again, she knit a cowl as well, and it was her first time taking part in a mystery knit along, and her first time using German short rows in a pattern as well. So yeah, that's all the prizes. So for those of you who have won a physical prize, if you contact me either on Ravelry or on Instagram, and just let me know that you've won a prize and give me your shipping address, give me your shipping address, and I'll get them into the post for you in the next week or so. And to those of you that have won pattern prizes, I'll contact Vicky, if that's okay with you, and hopefully remind you, I think you all won via Ravelry, entering in the Ravelry group. So I'll contact Vicky and I will let her know your Ravelry names, and hopefully I can get the 2 of you in contact so that you can choose the pattern that you would like for your prize. Okay, so that is all the announcements and all the prize winners. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you so much for taking part. I think we actually had 60 entries in total. Some of those were double entries from people who entered on Instagram and Ravelry, because, as I said, that was allowed. But we certainly didn't have 30 double entries, so that was fantastic. I'm really pleased that many people entered for my first solo knit along. And it's really fun. I really enjoy doing it. So if anyone has got ideas for knit-alongs in the future, then let me know, because that would be really fun. Right, so announcements over. Let's move on to finished objects. And I do have a finished object for you this week. I only just have a finished object for you this week. These got finished at about 5 to midnight last night. I've been having a few late nights dyeing all the self-striping pre-orders that have gone out at the moment. And I was having to wait for them to set before I could go to bed, and I managed to get these socks finished. But yeah, it was like 5 to midnight last night. But hey, it means you get a finished object to see, which you wouldn't have done otherwise. So anyway, I finished Tom's not 2 at a time socks. And here they are. So these are knit out of Bergère de France in the Gumi 50 colorway, the Gumi 50 range. I've got the label just here. It's a bit beaten up, but apologies for that. Yeah, Bergère de France in the Gumi 50 range, which is an absolutely gorgeous sock yarn. For those of you that are in the UK, John Lewis stocks Bergère de France. And they stock a really good range of the colours as well. So I would recommend trying it. And it's in the Imprime Jaune. I'm sure that's meant to have an E on the end. I don't know. Anyway, colourway, which is absolutely lovely. So here they are. They don't match, as I'm sure you can see. But he doesn't care. He's happier with that. And in fact, I did have a little bit of an issue with one of these socks, and in fact it was this one, which strangely looks like it isn't the one that I've had an issue with, whereas this one looks, this one looks more like it here. Obviously this pattern changed because I just carried on down the heel, which is why you've got that line here. But with this one, I came round and down the heel, and then I had a knot in the ball, which is fine, you know, it's not a big issue, especially not considering I was knitting socks with Tom, who doesn't mind them not matching. But unfortunately, when I rejoined, it was in the midst of the next colourway. I cut the knot out and just rejoined and wove those ends in, but it was in the midst of the next section of the colour repeat. So that was a little bit of a shame. But you know, it doesn't bother me. I think it could have bothered somebody, and I've not had that problem before with the Bergère de France balls, and it was only in the one ball. The other ball didn't have a knot in at all. But yeah, there we go. They are done, and Tom loves them, and he really wanted to wear them today, but I told him he couldn't because I had to show you lot first. Obviously they're a little bit big on my sock blockers, but yeah, one finished object. And what did I need to tell you about these? Nothing really exciting. I knit them on 2.5mm needles. And the needles I use, my brain's just gone then, are Knit Pro Zings. My needle of choice because they're really reasonable, and yeah, I quite enjoy them. Yeah, so in 2.5mm Knit Pro Zings. The fabric of these is really, really nice. It's a lovely yarn. It's got a little bit more of a rustic feel to it. It's a 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide, which is quite a standard sock yarn base, commercial sock yarn base. But yeah, it's a lovely thick fabric. It's a little bit thicker, the Bergère de France yarn, than some of the other yarns. And I like that because it does give you a slightly denser fabric for the socks. So for 100 grams, I wonder if it tells me on here the meat yardage. No, so it's not massively different. So for 50 grams, you get 230 yards. So for 100 grams, you're looking at 260 yards. Which is actually, that's really generous. But it should be, I don't know, anyway, because what's my... Here we go. So my standard merino yarn, yeah, no, that's about right. My standard merino nylon, you get 464 yards for 100 grams. So you get 460 yards for this. So yeah, tiny bit denser, but that's not going to make the massive amount of difference, really. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Throws me when it's in yards and not meters. Yeah, so anyway, this is my finished object for this week. and the first pair of socks for Tom. I'm hoping to knit Tom, say, about 3 pairs of socks this year. That's my plan. Maybe more than that, but yeah, he's already picked out his next skein. And yeah, eventually they'll be on the needles too, and he can have some more socks. Right, what's next? Works in progress. Let's move on to works in progress. And I've got 3 works in progress to show you this week, I think. I've not made any progress on any of my blankets, and I've also not made any progress on, I haven't done any dishcloths, and the Love in a Haze socks, I haven't cast on the second sock yet, which I will do eventually, but yeah, I haven't done that yet. So I've got 3 works in progresses to show you. And we'll start with this one here. So this is living in one of my naughty knitting sack bags. And this is my Storm's End socks. And let me just take one of these off the needles, because I have finished one of these. And off the needles? It's not what I meant, is it? Off the sock blocker, before I drop my sock blocker. I love my sock blockers. These came from Yarnistry. I've never linked the Yarnistry in the show notes. I should do, shouldn't I? I'll try and remember to link that this week. She does a really good range of acrylic sock blockers. Okay, here we go. So, I finished the test run that I was doing for my Storm's End colourway. So this is my self-striping, one of my self-striping colourways. This went in the shop update last weekend. And I think I've got 2 slots left, 2 pre-order slots left in the shop currently at the time I'm recording this. So if you like it and you haven't grabbed it yet, then it is still available. But yeah, so it's a self-striping yarn. I sell it in a gobstopper ball. Yeah, and I love how this is knit up. Really, really nice. So it's my standard sock base, which is 75-25 merino nylon. And I've just thrown in a mini that I had, and in fact it's kind of one of mine, but I dyed up some Storm Cloud grey as a couple of mini skeins when I was doing a project a while ago. I think it was for my cowl that I was knitting, and I had one that I didn't use, so I just wound this up because I thought it would work. It's a slightly different grey, obviously, but I don't mind that. And it's just this is a German short row heel that I've put into this sock. And again, these were knit on my 2.5mm Knit Pro Zings magic loop, as I usually do, and I'm really happy with how I got a rainbow toe. Yeah, so I've got one whole sock done, and I have put the heel into the second sock. And I've done really long legs for these. I don't usually do my legs this long, but I got a bit carried away with the stripes, and I got to the end of the 3rd stripe, and I thought to myself, now, do I want to put the heel in now, or do I want to do another repeat? And in the end, I just decided to do another repeat. So actually, they've got really long legs, but that's fine. I don't mind. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think what else I need to tell you about these, but yeah, so these are in progress. Hopefully I'll get this one finished by next time. I'm going to be taking this, it's like a little flag. I'm going to be taking this one down on Saturday, so tomorrow. I'm heading down to Brighton for the next Socks on the Beach meetup. So I'm going to be taking these down with me because the heel is done and it's just a vanilla sock, so I can knit on this while I'm chatting, which is very, very helpful. Yeah, and I was just thinking, is there anything else I've got to tell you about those? No, not really. I love this colourway, and I think I will be knitting a 3rd sock. Apologies. I think I will be knitting a 3rd sock so that I can keep one sock as a sample and actually have a pair for myself. I have weighed this sock, and this weighs about 34 grams, something like that. So once I finish the second sock, we're looking at about 68. So I should have at least 30 grams left of this, and I reckon I can easily get a shorter sock out of that. So if I do 3 repeats and add a heel, in 3 repeats and add a heel, then I can definitely get a shorter sock. And actually I could do a slightly shorter foot, because to be fair, it's going to be a sock sample, it's going to be a shop sample. It's not got to fit my foot if I've already got a pair. I hope that made some rambly sense. Anyway, moving on. Right, next work in progress, sorry if I jogged the camera then, is also living in a Naughty Knitting sack bag. It's living in this one here. I do love these bags. And this is my winter rose socks, which are still a work in progress, and you're probably getting sick of seeing them. But I am working on them slowly, I promise. And progress has moved a little bit on since I moved the beginning of the round in the pattern. That has helped a lot. I have turned the heel now. So last time I showed it, try not to drop the yarn. Last time I showed you, I think I was just where that little light bulb marker is. So I've turned the heel now, and I did the heel in the pattern. I was very good. So it is a heel flap, heel turn and gusset, and I did actually do the heel in the pattern. And I don't really like picking up stitches, but I did it. And I'm quite happy with it. I've not really looked in detail at the heel, actually. I'm thinking, did I pick them up all right? Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad down there. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. But yeah, I wanted to stick to the pattern. I could have changed it and put a short row heel in, but I like the idea when you've got a proper pattern. I like putting in the heel that is in the sock pattern. So that's what I did, basically. But yeah, I just need to work down the foot on these. Unfortunately, they are concentration knitting, so I can't really work on them when the boys are around, and I can't really work on them when I'm doing anything that involves concentration, obviously. And I've got a couple of projects on the needles at the moment that do involve concentration, as I will show you in a second. But yeah, these are a lovely pattern. This is still the first sock. It's just a gorgeous lace sock. Lace down the front and the back, and then down the foot, but the underside of the foot is obviously just stocking stitch. And the yarn I'm using is my yarn again. This is Giddy Yarns. This is one of my Flower Fairy yarns. I'm running a Flower Fairies yarn club this year, and this was the February instalment, which was based on the Primrose Fairy. So it's just a gorgeous sort of yellow and green. And there are, I think I might have a lightly speckled skein. There are some speckles of, I don't know if I can, of sort of teal in there. But I think, yeah, I think I might have just saved myself a lightly speckled skein. You can see a little bit there. And then you do get pops of yellow. I don't know how well the colour's showing up. Pops of yellow as well in there. But no, I'm really happy with how this is knitting up, and I think these are going to be a lovely pair of socks when I eventually get around to finishing them. The second pattern in the pattern club has been released, the Magnolia socks. But I've still got a whole other one of these to knit yet, so I need to be concentrating on these ones at the moment. And I am knitting these on different needles. That was something I wanted to talk about. So I took part in the fibre share. I took part in fibre share, the swap, and my partner sent me a pair of higher sharps. So here they are. And I've never used higher sharps. As I've said, I tend to be a knit pro girl with all my needles. But these are lovely, and they are perfect for this pattern because part of the pattern involves a knit 3 together. So actually having a sharp needle is brilliant for that. And yeah, I really like them. The cable is lovely. It's not kinking at all, which I do find with my Knit Pro needles that the cables kink occasionally, which doesn't normally bother me, but I think I might get spoiled if I keep using these. But yeah, so they're 2.5mm higher sharps. And I would recommend them. They are lovely. They are sharp, and I was worried I was going to be poking myself and poking holes in my fingers, but I don't seem to be doing that. So maybe I might have to invest in a few more of these. We'll see. Okay, so I have one more work in progress to show you, and that is my quill shawl, which is currently living in my my lovely bag from Jilly of Mrs S Creations. This lovely elephant bag. I'm really enjoying using this. And actually, I used the stitch marker the other day. I needed the progress keeper, so I have removed it. I need to put it back on again, actually. Okay, and I have made a bit of progress on this. Because I took this with me. That's the pattern for the winter rose socks, right? I took this with me to Cornwall. We went to Cornwall over Easter. And just over Easter weekend, we went down for 4 days and stayed with Tom's parents. And this was one of the projects I took with me. I took this and I took my Stormy Rainbow socks. So I have made some progress on this. So let's show you. I'll show you the yarn I'm using first. I'm using John Arbon in their Knit by Numbers DK range. And I'm using 3 colours. So the first colour I'm using is this lovely kind of oatmeal-y kind of colour. I think we're about to have a visitor.
Mummy.
Hello.
The tablet's not turning on.
The tablet's not turning on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come and have a little look. I'll be right back. What was I talking about? My quill shawl. So, yes, I'm using 3 colours. So this is the first colour. This lovely kind of oatmeal-y kind of colour. And I had the labels 2 seconds ago in my hand. Here they are. And this is colour number 12, I believe. Yeah, so it's the John Arbon Knit by Numbers range. And this one is colour number 12. And then I'm also using, see, I'm looking to make sure I get the numbers the right way around. You'd think I'd have learnt this by now, but clearly not. That one. I'm using this colour for the medium, so it's kind of like a nice heathery purple colour, and that is number 89. And then the dark colour is this one here, which is number 86. And these are all DK. And it's 100% pure Falklands merino, so it's not superwash, which is fine for a shawl. But I've knit with the Knit by Numbers DK before. I made a shawl very early on in the podcast, actually. And I love it, and it's held up beautifully, and it is one of the coziest, most comfortable things to wear. So yeah, I've made a bit of progress on this, so let's see if I can show you. I've got myself attached, there we go. So the little marker there shows where I was last time, and in fact this little elephant marker is really cute. This is the one that I stole off the project bag. So that's where I was last time. So yeah, I've made a little bit of progress. You can more clearly see the second colour now, as it stripes down. And I have added in, and I haven't added in the 3rd stripe. I thought I'd added in the third stripe. I think I'm at the point where I need to add in the 3rd stripe of colour. And I absolutely love how this is knitting up. It's really, really, really lovely. I love how the colours are working together. And I don't know if you can tell, but the darker colour is actually garter stitch. So it's like a little raised garter stitch bump as well, and then the rest of it is in stocking stitch, and yeah, it's absolutely lovely. And if you know the pattern, it carries on like this, sort of down to the edge, and then you have a lace edging. And in fact, I think I might have a picture I can show you. Excuse the rustling a second. Do I have a picture? Yes. I've probably shown you this before, but if anybody's newly watching, yeah, there we go. So as you can see, you've got the sort of striping section all the way down to the bottom, and then you get this little border of lace, which will be in the darker colour, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, that's what I'm doing with that. I have made progress on it and I am loving it. Progress has stalled on this slightly because of my new cast on, which will make sense when I show you it. And I'm making all kinds of rustling noises and everything now, so sorry about that. But yeah, I absolutely love this, and this is going to be so cozy and so lovely. And the wool, it's so hard to explain, but if you've not used John Arbon before, or you've not even felt John Arbon, it is the softest, loveliest. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's got a little bit of a halo. I don't know if you can sort of see that there, but it is, yeah, it's so lovely, not itchy or scratchy at all. And as I said, I adore my other shawl that I've made out of this yarn before. So yeah, so that is my quill shawl. I didn't say that, did I? I didn't say it about my winter rose socks either, so for anyone that's new, I apologise. Both the winter rose socks that I'm knitting and the quill shawl are patterns by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. The winter rose socks are part of the Curious Handmade Sock Society that she's running this year, which is a variety of patterns that are being released throughout the year with a botanical theme. And this pattern was part of the Shawl Society. I didn't sign up to the Shawl Society, but I think this might have been from Shawl Society number 1, I'm not sure. But obviously they've been released as individual patterns now, so you can purchase them separately, which is what I did, clearly. Okay, so yeah, that is my quill shawl, which is growing. Unfortunately, it has been put aside a little bit at the moment because of my new cast on, which I think I've shown you everything that I had in works in progress. So we can move on to new cast ons. Okay, so I dyed up for a friend of mine. I dyed up a trio of yarns for the Impressionists Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart, again, of Curious Handmade. And my friend told me exactly what she wanted, what colours she wanted, what kind of things she wanted, and I created a trio of yarns for her to use for the MCAL. And I'm sure if you're on Instagram or pretty much anywhere, you'll have heard of the Impressionists Mystery Knit Along. It's all over the internet at the moment. And normally I shy away from mystery knit alongs because I like to know how something's going to look to be able to choose my colours and everything like that. But having seen my friends start hers and having seen sort of spoilers for Clue 1, I couldn't resist casting it on. So I dug out 3 skeins of yarn, which you've seen before. They're all from my stash. I was very good and I went stash diving. And these are actually the 3, I won't show the pattern yet, by the way. So don't worry, I will let you know when I'm about to show the pattern. So these are the 3 yarns from the Flower Power Fund for January, February and March. So January was a Nora George yarn in the Snowdrop colourway. And all of these are on stellina bases. This one has gold stellina, so it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% gold stellina. And this is the yarn caked up. This is the Snowdrop colourway. So it's this gorgeous kind of natural base with pops of yellow and greens. So that is my first colour. And then I'm pairing that with the February yarn, which was from Down Sheepy Lane. And again, this is the Hellebore colourway, which again was dyed for the Flower Power Fund. And again, it's on a stellina base. So this one has got silver stellina instead of gold stellina. But it's this gorgeous kind of light pink with pops of green and pops of darker pink in there. So they're my first 2 yarns. And then the third yarn is the March yarn, which I think I showed you on the last episode, which is from Beehive Yarns in the Cuckoo Flower colourway. And again, it's her stellina base, and again, it's silver stellina, and that's not focusing for some reason. There we go. And that is this colour here, which is this gorgeous kind of bright pinks with purple, neon purpley, neon pinky spots. Absolutely stunning. So these are my 3 colours that I chose. And in the pattern, she said to choose a light, a medium and a dark colour. And to be fair, these 2 colours are a little bit close. It's making some of the patterning quite subtle, but I love how this is working against them. So I'm really happy with the colours that I've chosen. So I will show you the pattern now. So if you don't want to see it, if you don't want to be spoiled, then look away. I haven't yet finished clue 2. So you're not going to be horrifically spoiled if you've already finished clue 2. Well, obviously you won't, because clue 3 is not released until tomorrow. But yeah, anyway, I will show it, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So if you don't want too much detail, then maybe skip ahead 5 minutes. Okay, so yeah, I haven't finished clue 2. Clue 2 ends with a lace section, and I haven't yet started the lace section. I've done the setup row and I've put in all my markers, but I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and concentrate on it yet. So that is what I need to do. But I have got up until that point. So here we go. And hopefully you're going to be able to see, we'll see how well it shows up. It's in the daylight. So yeah, it starts, it's a lovely garter stitch shawl. And I don't know if you can just see where the stripes of pink are starting to come into the green there. It's quite subtle, but I really like it. And then you get more pink, and then you've got these lovely eyelet rows. And then you bring in the pop of the darker colour in this lovely kind of eyelet section here. It's really nice. And then, yeah, just a few more stripes there. And then the lace section is in this colour here. Which is the second colour, the pinky, paley pink colour. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. Unfortunately, it is on slightly smaller needles. I need really 100 centimetre cable, and I haven't got one. So it's currently on 80 centimetre. Let's make sure I'm showing you the right side. Yeah, it's currently on 80 centimetre needles. But that's fine. I am going to purchase some longer needles soon, because I think I will eventually need them, especially if I want you guys to be able to see this in slightly better light. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. As I said, my striping is quite subtle, but I really like that. And I can't wait to see more of this bright colour coming through. There's no way I'm going to be keeping up with this. As I said, the second clue gets released tomorrow, and I haven't even started the lace section. And the lace is going to take me a while. Obviously the rows are getting long. We're at 300 odd stitches at the moment already. And we're only, well, I'm not even halfway through the shawl. But I absolutely love it. And it is going to be gorgeous. And I really do want to knit along with the KAL. So not necessarily keep up with it, because I don't think that's feasible for me at the moment. I've got a lot of work on with the shop. So I don't think I'm necessarily going to keep up with it, but I would like to be working on, I'd like to try and get clue 2 finished this weekend maybe, so that at least next week I can be working on clue 3, even if I don't finish it before clue 4 gets released. But I think that she's running a knit along for the KAL, obviously. And I think you've got until May to put the finished object in the thread. So, yeah. And I'm using for this, I've gone up a needle size, and I'm using 4.5mm Knit Pro Zings. And I have put all my stitch markers in. I don't know if you can see them there. I have got all the stitch markers in for the start of the lace repeats, because I'm not taking any risks. And I am so glad that I have developed a bit of an obsession with Rebecca of Rebecca's Room's stitch markers, because I actually had plenty to be able to put all these stitch markers in to mark the lace repeats. So that was really handy. Yeah, so that is my new cast on for this week, and hopefully next time I record in 2 weeks' time you'll have seen significantly more progress on this. Possibly not much progress on anything else, I have to say, but hopefully there will be significantly more progress on this. Right, anything else I wanted to say about this? Nope, I don't think so. The flower power, we've got another visitor coming again. Hello, Pickle. Oh, you want me to read the... Okay, so we've been buying these yogurts, and on the inside of the yogurt lid is a joke. And Arthur wants me to read the joke. So here we go. What pill do you give an elephant that can't sleep?
I don't know.
A tranquilizer. See you later. Not that you got to see him, but yeah, there we go. Bad jokes. They're really bad. And he doesn't get them. He doesn't get the jokes at all. But because they're jokes, he thinks they're funny. Yeah, so I was going to say the Flower Power Fund is still running. She's running it throughout the year. And it's being run by Sarah, who is Sherlock Knits on Instagram. And there is a Flower Power Fund Instagram page and a Flower Power Fund Facebook page. If you are interested in finding out a little bit more about it. Basically, she's picked 12 independent dyers in the UK, I believe. I think they're all in the UK, I'm not sure. And each month there is an independent dyer who is dyeing up a special yarn inspired by a flower for the Flower Power Fund. And a certain amount from each skein of yarn sold is going to Marie Curie. So yeah, it's a really good cause and a really good idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. So those were the first 3 yarns. And in some ways, I'm really glad that I'm using them already because it kind of freed me up because I will be showing you the 4th yarn, the April yarn, in a minute. But it meant I didn't need to feel like I wanted to keep them together because initially I was kind of thinking that I might use them all in something together or something like that. But then now I'm using them in that. It freed me up so that I could just buy something and the next lot are going to be socks. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. That was my new cast on. So let's move on to a bit of yarny goodness. And as usual, I meant to reorganise before I got to yarny goodness, so it's all slightly out of reach. So excuse me a second while I reorganise slightly. And probably jog the camera a reasonable amount too. Eek, everything's about to fall off. Okay, one. And that one. Okay, right, so that's going to involve some rustling, so apologies for that one in a minute. I will start with the purchases that I've made this last couple of weeks. And I was just alluding to this, so I might as well start with it. So, Flower Power Fund, and the dyer for April was Lay Family Yarn, who I believe is Kelly of Lay Family Yarns, which does not want to focus. There we go. Oh, why aren't you focusing? There we are. Lay Family Yarn. And I've not had any Lay Family yarns before. So it's really nice. Again, this is one thing I'm really enjoying about following along with the Flower Power Fund, as well as it's really encouraging me to try out some new dyers. I had never had any yarn from Beehive Yarns before. I've had minis. I had the January minis from Down Sheepy Lane before she was the February dyer. So I'd had a little bit of her yarn before, but no, I had not worked with a full skein of hers before. And I'd had some Nora George. I've got some Nora George yarns in stash, but I'm not sure if I've actually knit anything with my Nora George yarns until now. But anyway, it's really encouraged me to try out new dyes, is what I was trying to say. So this is the yarn for April, and it is inspired by the crocus flower, so it's the crocus colourway. Absolutely gorgeous with these pops of purple and orange and absolutely stunning. And I chose to get this on a merino nylon base, so it's a 75-25 merino nylon, and I chose to add the coordinating mini skein to go with it because I'm planning on these becoming a pair of socks. And in fact, these might actually become the Magnolia socks, which is the next pattern in the Curious Handmade Sock Society, because I think this would look really nice with that pattern. And although initially I was planning on using all my flower fairies, I'm not sure my flower fairies will work. A lot of the patterns are designed for kind of speckled or semi-solids, and quite a few of my flower fairies are a little bit more on the variegated side. So I'm not sure they would work, but this will. And this will be stunning. So I think that might be what this becomes. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. If I give you the back of the labels, all her information, and again, obviously everything will be linked in the show notes, which I haven't said what the show notes are. Show notes can be found on my website or in the Ravelry group, and that will be linked down below in the drop down bar. Sorry about that. Anyway, Lay Family yarn in the Crocus colourway for the Flower Power Fund. So I absolutely love this. Really, really nice. And interestingly, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, when she showed pictures of this colourway initially, it was reskeined. Now, I have reskeined colourways in the past, and I'm trying to think of whether I have got an example. I have got an example of a colourway that I reskeined, maybe. Oh, except I've moved a lot of my stash around, so maybe I haven't got a good example of something that's been reskeined. No, I haven't got a good example of something that's been reskeined. Oh, I guess I kind of have. Yeah. Okay, so you know the mini skeins that I showed on last week's episode, which were going into the shop? There was one particular mini skein which had a rainbow on it, and I reskeined that, which then disperses that rainbow a little bit more clearly throughout the mini skein, if you can see. Yeah, so basically that's what reskeining does. It you rewind the yarn at a slightly different length, and it disperses the colours, and it gives you a better idea of how it's going to knit up and how the colours are going to work together, because obviously they're mixed up more, which is how they would be when you knit, rather than kind of all together. So like here you've got all these bits of orange together, here you've got all these bits of purple together, and here you've got all these bits of purple together as well. Now what she did say is she had so many orders, she was hoping, if people didn't mind, she would like to send them out not reskeined, because it saves her a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I can completely appreciate that. My Christmas stocking sock sets, I don't know if you remember those, they were reskeined, and I had a lot of those because they were very, very popular, and I regretted the fact that I reskeined them because it took so long to reskein every single skein and ship them out that way. So I completely appreciate you're not wanting to reskein, and actually I think this looks lovely, and lovely not reskeined. I love seeing all those bits of purple together. It's absolutely stunning. Anyway, slight tangent on that one about reskeining, but that is my first bit of yarny goodness. And the second bit of yarny goodness isn't really yarn, but I couldn't resist picking up another bag from Jem of The Little Grey Girl. And I've been lucky enough to meet Jem a couple of times now. She comes to the Socks on the Beach events, which is where I first met her. And we've also met up at Unravel. Yeah, and absolutely adore her bags. I've been using my other one with my Love in a Haze socks. Oh, I've lost it. Oh no, I put it back down there, sorry. Just gives you a better idea of how they're triangular bags. This is the one that I've had for a little while now. Absolutely perfect for a sock project, and with this lovely strap to put over your wrist. Really, really lovely bags. And I couldn't resist picking up another bag. So this is the one I went for. I love this colour, and the feather print is really, really pretty. And again, this is a triangle bag. I've not opened this one out because I've been keeping it nice to be able to show you. But yeah, here you go. A lovely, again, one of her triangular bags. This one's got a lovely little leather pull on the zip. And then she has just a simple grey lining inside. But yeah, they are absolutely stunning. Really, really nice, really good quality. And I love these bags. I will probably be picking up a few more in the future as well. So yeah, go and check out her shop because she does a lot of lovely things. She doesn't just do triangular bags, she does other sized bags and other shaped bags as well. And she does notions kits and all kinds of little bits and pieces. But in particular, I couldn't resist this bag. Oh, and I've just dropped it. I couldn't resist this bag. So yeah, another little project bag. Okay, and my last bit of yarny goodness were not purchases, and maybe a bit crinkly. So I took part in a couple of things. So firstly, this was from quite a while ago, and it came as a complete surprise package. But as part of the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, back in October, maybe November, can't remember now. I put a thing out asking for Desert Vista Dye Works, and somebody said they'd sent me some minis, and here they are. So she sent me a lovely little bundle of Desert Vista Dye Works minis. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to using these. Tom has been after some scrappy socks, so I'm actually contemplating using these to make him, some scrappy socks, along with a few other minis that I've got. Because I think that would be really fun, especially if they're self-striping, because actually I think self-striping scrappy socks would be quite fun, and it'd be just the kind of thing that Tom would absolutely adore at the moment. So that is absolutely lovely. And then I also took part in Tracy of Thimble and Thread Make set up a not a Edinburgh Yarn Festival swap. And the idea was that you sort of said, yes, I want to take part, this is what I'd be interested in swapping, and she paired people up, and then you organised it between yourselves. So I said, I'd love to swap a full skein of yarn and some minis, and I got paired up with the lovely Anne, and I got my swap package, and she sent me an absolutely lovely package of all kinds of bits and pieces, and there will be quite a bit of crinkling in here, and apologies for that. But the first thing she sent me was my full skein, and this is from the Yarn Badger, who I have not had any yarn from before, and it is absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous. It's gorgeous, sort of speckled pinks and purples and oranges, and I absolutely love this. It's on a merino cashmere nylon base, so it is an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, so it is so soft, and it's fingering weight and absolutely lovely. It's so soft. I've not knit socks with merino cashmere nylon yet, because I've always been a bit, wow, it's just so gorgeous, the thought of putting it on my feet seems a bit daft. But actually thinking about it, I wanted to knit some fingerless mitts. I've been saying that for a while. I'd like to knit some fingerless mitts. So I might do that out of this, because that would be lovely on your hands, wouldn't it? Absolutely lovely, having some merino cashmere nylon gloves or mittens. That might be what this becomes. So that's absolutely beautiful. And it's from the Yarn Badger. It hasn't got a proper label on it, but she sent it in this bag. So I'm assuming that this is where the yarn came from as well. So there is the logo, and I believe she's an Irish dyer. So that is absolutely lovely. And then she also sent me a load of minis. We agreed sort of an amount of minis in total. We said sort of between 100 and 150 grams of minis, but we said a mixture of kind of 5, 10, 20 gram minis. And I've not weighed or sorted any of these out yet. Some of them are labelled, some of them aren't labelled, so it's all a bit of a mix. But she sent me 3 little bags, and I love the way she sent this, because it's like opening a little bag of sweets of minis. And this is where the crinkling is definitely going to be. 3 little bags of minis, and I don't know if I can show you without spilling them everywhere, probably not. So there's a bundle in there. I'm just going to put them down. There's a load in here, and they're a mixture of, oops, I've just dropped one, a mixture of kind of hand-dyed yarn and commercial sock yarn, which is perfect because I'm using a mix in my blankets, so that is absolutely perfect. And then there's another little bundle here, which I'm about to drop most of. And it's not very easy showing you these without dropping them. But yeah, absolutely lovely. So I'm really excited to start putting some of those into my blanket. I wonder if I can rescue the one that I've dropped. Yes, I can. Yeah, but the other lovely thing is she made me a project bag. Anne is a very new sewer. She said she got a sewing machine for Christmas and she really wanted to practice. So she wanted to make me a project bag. So that is absolutely lovely. So she actually made me this gorgeous project bag. It's really, really, really lovely. With a nice boxed bottom. I love this fabric. I love how bright and colourful it is. It's completely my colours. It kind of matches almost what I'm wearing today, doesn't it? Completely my colours. And she also made me a little needle cozy. which is really, really lovely. So now that I've shown these on the podcast, I can use them. They've been sitting waiting to be used because I wanted to show you them while they were nice and unused. So thank you so much, Anne. This was absolutely lovely. It's such a lovely package to come home to after we'd been to Cornwall. And yeah, I love doing swaps because I love putting together a package to send somebody. I really enjoy that aspect of it. And I love receiving a complete package of just unknown. I really like swaps, basically. And as a yarn dyer, it's quite a nice thing to do as well, because obviously I can send yarn that I've dyed and stuff like that out as well. And so I just want to touch on a little bit of shop news. I've not got a lot to show you because the update was obviously last weekend. But I have still got a few bits. So with the last update, I put up dye to order self-striping for all of my 5-stripe colourways. And I think there is still one slot left in that, if you're interested. Well, certainly at the time that I'm recording this on Friday. I imagine this video will go up Saturday evening. So fingers crossed what I'm saying is still true. Although no, not fingers crossed, because then I won't have sold anything. And I want to sell things, but you know what I mean. Hopefully for you, it's still true. Right, what am I trying to say? So there's still one slot left for dyed to order 5-stripe self-striping. There is still, I think there are still 2 slots left for the Storm's End self-striping. And I have also put up my monthly minis, which are these ones here for this month. This is the April minis, and I think I've got 2 of these left in stock. So you've got the lovely blue and the simple grey, and then you've got a variegated rainbow, so you can see the red and the blue at this end and the yellow and the green at this end. And then you've got this one, which is this lovely, well, that's actually coming out quite nicely. Lovely sort of dark grey with speckles on it. And then the rainbow, the fleeting rainbow, as I'm kind of calling it, although I don't tend to give these colourway names, but if I was, this would be fleeting rainbow, which is kind of the undyed with that rainbow running through it. So I think I've still got 2 of these available currently. The other thing that I put in the shop, and I'm not sure whether I talked about on the last episode, because it was a bit of a last minute decision, to be completely honest. I had a few questions about advent calendars because I know a number of yarn dyers had already put up advent calendar listings. I know Nora George, I think hers might have even sold out already. I know Lay Family Yarns has listed hers, and my brain's gone dead, but I'm sure there are others who have already listed advent calendars. And I was getting a couple of questions about whether I was doing an advent calendar this year. Last year I did 12 Days of Christmas. I didn't do a full advent calendar because I was still relatively new and I needed to list them in like August, and I only opened in July. So I didn't do a big advent calendar last year, but this year I am, and I listed 10 slots this month, and I think there are 3 slots left available in the shop. I am going to be listing more slots throughout the year. What I want to do is I'm not releasing them all now. I want to release them kind of slowly across the year. The last slots will probably be available in August, I would imagine. I'm shipping mid-October and mid to end of October, depending on whether you're international or domestic. So the last slots will probably go up in August, so that I've got the whole of September to be able to dye up the remaining ones. I'm hoping to sort of dye them throughout the year to spread it out a little bit. So basically, an advent calendar, what it entails and what you're going to get. I have a theme this year, and the theme is Joys of Christmas Past. And the general idea is that it's kind of a nostalgic look back at childhood, as Christmas as a child, like that childhood Christmas. What I'm really finding, and I found particularly this year, is there were so many little memories and little traditions and little Christmas things that really sort of came back out this year, with Arthur being 4 and Jasper being 1, and you know, all those things that I remember from from childhood myself, all those things I remember from when I was a child at Christmas, and just that utter pure joy of a child at Christmas. And so that is what is going to inspire my colourways this year. You get 24 colourways. So they will be 24 individual colourways. They may be a mixture, though they will be a mixture of variegated, speckled and semi-solids. But yeah, you get 24. I think they're also going to be a mixture of stellina and non-stellina. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what I've put. So now I'm forgetting what I've said it's going to be. You'll get 24 different colourways. So each colourway will have a name and will be inspired by something specific to do with sort of childhood Christmases. And I'm not just going to pick colourways from my sort of generation. I think I probably will pick things back that I remember sort of my grandma telling me about childhood when she was young. But so generally it's a nostalgic look back at childhood Christmases. That's my theme. And I'm really excited to be able to start planning the colourways and decide on them. So what you get, just try it again, you get 24 mini skeins. Each is an individual colourway. And I have got 4 options this year. So you can choose to have a 10 gram advent calendar, which is just 24 10 gram mini skeins, or a 20 gram advent calendar, which again is 24 20 gram mini skeins. And then you've also got the option with either of those sizes of calendar to add a full skein for Christmas Day. And the full skein for Christmas Day will be dyed on my stellina base. And again, that will be a colourway inspired by childhood as a Christmas. I keep wanting to say that. Christmas as a child. Inspired by childhood Christmases. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so they are available. There are 3 slots left for this month. And yeah, that's what you get, basically. There will be a few other goodies in there. I have got plans. In fact, I have already got a few of the little bits to go in some of the boxes. So there will be a few little goodies. Every mini skein will be individually wrapped. I'm not 100%. Oh no, I do know how I'm going to wrap them this year. Tom and I had a discussion about that the other day and we came up with what we're going to do. So every single mini skein will be individually wrapped and numbered, so that when you open the box and when you open the packaging, you don't get spoiled, and you can open one each day throughout Advent and it will be a complete and utter surprise. Yeah, I'm not doing a pattern that they all make a certain pattern or anything like that. It's more sort of designed for kind of scrappy projects or things like that. I know some of them put together certain mini skeins that build up to create a whole pattern of across Advent, which I'm not doing. It is going to be more individual mini skeins that make up sort of a very individual kind of thing. That didn't make any sense, did it? They will be individual mini skeins, and the idea is that you could use them in blankets, or there are a number of shawl projects that call for sort of scrappy for mini skeins as accents and stuff like that. So you'd be able to use it in that kind of thing, or blankets, or scrappy socks, which I know are very, very popular at the moment, and things like that. Basically, that's the idea, really. But yes, so each package will be individually packaged, and there will be some kind of little extra, probably in every single little 24 mini skein package. I think that is my plan. It may only be a small little extra, but there will be something with each extra little package. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to sitting down and working out the colourays and putting it all together. I've got lots of ideas as to how I want to present it and how I want to wrap it and everything like that. So yeah, I'm quite excited about putting together my advent calendars for this year. And as I said, they will ship in October. So international calendars will ship mid-October, and I am sending those international tracked and signed, so the postage is a little bit higher, I'm afraid. And obviously taking into account the weight of the package, 24 20 gram mini skeins, for example, is quite a considerable, it's nearly 5 skeins of yarn, so obviously that's nearly 500 grams. So I do need to take into account the weight of the packaging and the weight of the yarn. So shipping is that little bit higher, especially if you're international, I'm afraid. But I still think it's quite reasonable. It's under £20 for international shipping, tracked and signed. But in the UK, I'm sending them out at the end of October in the UK. I will be sending them signed for, because it's a big package that you are receiving, and I don't want to risk them getting lost in the mail. I want to make sure that everybody gets their package. So I will be sending them out signed for, but I'm going to send them out second class signed for in the UK. So that keeps the cost down significantly for those of you in the UK. And if I'm sending them at the end of October, second class is going to get to you by December. Second class will probably get to you by the next week. Anyway, advent calendars are my big kind of shop news thing at the moment. I imagine I will be talking to you again before the next shop update. I've got no idea. I never think that through, do I? Probably I'll be talking to you again before the next shop update. But the next shop update will be a kind of more of a ready to ship. There's going to be sock sets, there's going to be full skeins. There's obviously going to be my monthly minis for May even. There may be some more striping. I haven't decided yet. It all depends on how much time I get and whether I feel like I want a month's break from self-striping, which I may very well do. But yeah, so that's my shop news. Anyway, I finished rambling about shop news, so I will leave you all there. What else did I want to say? That's it really. I will leave you with a few pictures, I think, at the end of the video from our trip to Cornwall. We went and stayed with Tom's parents and had a lovely time. It was quite wet. We had a few rainy Easter egg hunts, but we still had a really lovely time. And yeah, I will leave you with a few pictures of the boys over Easter. And I will see you again in 2 weeks' time for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a really lovely couple of weeks and get lots and lots of knitting time. See you soon. Bye.